This is Trend with Fridays. Today I wanted to stake a couple of plants with moss poles because in my houseplant section that I have quite a bit of the plants have grown into the state that they need some support. So I want to take this opportunity and to show you how to use moss poles to stake your plant. So over here, I have two sizes of those already made, ready to go moss poles. So there are two different heights. This one is a 24-inch, so 2 feet tall of the moss poles, this one. And this one is a 36, so 3 feet long of those moss poles. I do have some plants and really can use some support, so today I will use them as an example. One of them is my monsteras. This guy have gone to quite a bit of the state of being isolated and not to be supported. So it's really growing a lot of branches out like this, and you can see that it needs some support and it needs to go upwards. And there are some already area roots already grown outside, so really can use some support. Part of the reason that we want to stake our plant with moss pole is because when you let a plant to grow naturally, it's gonna more like fanning out, especially for plants like monsteras. It has big leaves and big foliages. If you don't guide it to grow vertically upward, it's gonna fan out and it's gonna take up a lot of room. So it limits the space where you can put it, and also might not look the most aesthetic, beautifully as it could when you stage it. So this monstera, I think today we will be using this 3 feet, the long one of the moss pole to stake it. Also, I have a philodendron, just your common green philodendron plant over here that I will stake today too. This one, right now, it's in a 6-inch pot, and it has gone quite a long time without really being staged and being staked. I have this bamboo stick right now inside of this pot, but it doesn't have any moss wrapped around it, and it's just a plain stick and purely just to serve the purpose of supporting the plant and the branches. So I'm gonna repot this guy into a little bit bigger pot, and that allows me to put in bigger moss pole, which is the 2 feet moss pole. I'm gonna stake into the pot and wrap the vine and wrap these branches around to help this guy get into a much better state. So philodendron, this guy really can take some support today. We're gonna give it the support that is needed. When it comes to supporting your plant, mostly a lot of plants either they climb up, they're the climbers, or they drape down. Those kind of plants can really use the support of the moss pole. So for example, in the philodendron family, you also have many varieties, and including this neon pothos. This guy is already sending the shoots that is laterally, which means it can be guided towards up. So you can have this guy growing upwards and save a lot of space. Wandering Jew is another very typical plant that can, drape down. Philodendron micans, this is a very special philodendron family member. It's really velvety. The leaves actually has a thin layer of the hair on it, so it feels really smooth and really velvety. So this is a really special philodendron. It also climbs and it drapes down. So let's get it started. When you start preparing for staking, there are a few things you will need. The moss pole for sure is the most important items you will be needing. Your plant, as well as some of the string. I have a couple of options over here. This one is kind of like your garden twine, and this one is your floral tape. So I think any of the strings will work as long as it's you know, thick enough and to provide gentle support to attach the plant branches with your moss pole. Then scissor for cutting the strings, and I have a spray bottle over here for wetting the moss pole, because all these plants like the monsteras and all these plants actually in their natural habitat, they're called epiphyte. So these kind of plants in nature, they cling and they lean onto their host plant and to climb and to grow. So as a houseplant, if you just let it grow, it's not really the best form for them to be like growing independently. So you definitely wanted to provide these kind of the support, so mimicking their natural habits of wanting to lean onto their host plant, of climbing or growing upwards. So first step, we're gonna mist this moss pole, because in nature, the host plant normally is a very moist, kind of like a damp bark texture or the surface texture of the plant. This aside. Analyze this monstera here a little bit. You can see that it's kind of leaning towards one side. It's kind of leaning towards one side, and it's not really, you know, kind of having the best shape. So what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna try to find the spot where this plant needs the most support to stake my moss pole, because monstera is a fairly kind of a hard stem and a rigid stemmed plant. It's not like the viney crop like ivies or like you know, your philodendron, wandering ivies that can be easily kind of manipulated. So the best I can do is trying to find a neutral spot in the pot and bring the branches to the moss pole as close as I can, and fasten it by the strings or the twines. So when you stake this moss pole in the pot, you're trying to go as neutral and centralized as possible. Promoted for more area roots growing. So that can really give this plant a really good support, and from this point on to grow very healthily and supported. Okay, next what I'm gonna stake is this philodendron. This is a completely different kind of the plant as the monstera, and basically they have these very thin and long vines that can be easily attached and wrapped around the moss pole. But this pot apparently is too small for this 2 feet moss pole. So before I stake this philodendron, I'm gonna transplant this guy into a bigger pot. So proportionally, it looks, you know, it looks good after this moss pole being inserted in. Get our moss pole out. And find a central location and insert. Is the fun part. We're gonna start wrapping the vines around this moss pole. So we have 3 branches. We're just gonna go one by one. We're gonna just attach them. want to show you that how you can DIY a moss pole at home by yourself. They're very easy to make. All you need is just some kind of the core support, either the bamboo stick like this, or you can use a PVC pipe, especially for the longer and a taller moss pole. You might want to use those PVC pipe that give you the thickness in the middle. I'm just gonna really use this bamboo stick because I am gonna DIY a moss pole to support my neon pothos that is fairly small. So I don't quite need the really big moss pole, but this guy is at a really good height and a thickness. So first, need a core stake support. Second, you need some kind of the medium. What I use here is Spanish moss. You can get it at a store really easily, or you can use coconut fiber, or sometimes I even use the hemp pad that we grow microgreens with. So these kind of a grow media basically needs to be absorbent for moisture in the water to stay moist. Then scissor, as well as some kind of the fasten strings. I use a hemp twine. The color really natural and it can blend into this Spanish moss really well. So first step, you want to soak your moss. Okay, our moss is almost done. As we're waiting for the last few minutes, we gotta fix this twine on the stick first. So this is about 2 to 3 feet long twine. First, we're gonna fix this on top of the bamboo and then make a tight knot. Okay, like this. Then we take our moss from the bucket that is already soaked, like this. Evenly around the stick through the entire length. But make sure that you leave the last 1/3 of the bottom available in a bare, because that's the part we're gonna stick into the pot. Tie it up at a base, really tight. And then we're just gonna cut some extra moss that is not needed. So this is our moss pole that we just DIY'd, and it looks really good. You can see. So this guy now is repotted in this 6.5-inch pot from the previous 4-inch pot. Next, we're gonna use our DIY'd moss pole and stake this guy. So right now, this neon pothos is being wrapped around. And as they grow taller and longer, we'll continue to trail the vine onto the higher part of this moss pole. I hope you're enjoying today's session, and if you have any question regarding moss pole, feel free to send us a comment or leave us a question and we'll get back with you. We'll see you next time.